we doing?
How's camp going for you so far?
Amazing. I'm having the time of my life. Off season can get a little bit hectic sometimes. Just having to be like 1,000 places at once, and still trying to stick to the grind. But just getting back here and being with the team. Getting back in my process. This is always like my favorite time of the year, my favorite place to be, because like the game just makes me my best self.
How was Japan?
Oh, Japan was fun. Japan was super fun. Like, if anyone can visit Tokyo, if anyone's looking for a vacation destination or something to do, please take a trip to Tokyo. I had an amazing time, but also I got to do some good work out there with my foundation. We taught CPR in the American school in Japan, and we gave away some AEDs to some youth flag football teams out there. So it was super cool. We partnered with American Heart Association and Zoe and did some really good work out there.
Saw you kind of get shooken up a little today on a play. Are you good injury-wise? You went right back out there.
Yeah, I'm super good, man. That just the nature of the game. I got a little banged up, but next play, I was okay.
Topic of injuries too. Obviously, I know you're competing against him in camp, but your relationship with Cole, he's banged up again too. A guy who's now gone through kind of two separate injuries in his first two camps here. What do you say to a guy like him when you talk to kind of keep his confidence and his spirits up?
Man, just adversity is a part of life, and how you handle it. Your mindset going through it. So just keeping his mind right. Just keeping him locked into his process. We talk about that a lot here, from top to bottom. It's the process. So whatever you going through, whatever you dealing with, the process of what it takes, taking it step at a time, and not looking too far ahead. Just being in the moment of what you need to do right now to make sure that you could be where you need to be when you're trying to be there. So that's the mindset, always.
You bring up process. Something that Bobby said this morning was that something that stood out about you has been your consistency. How much is that a focus for you year-round, but especially right now, and sort of repeating that process day after day?
I appreciate that from him, especially because he knows me through and throughout. He was my safeties coach whenever I first got here. So to hear him talk about me being consistent is it makes me want to be even more consistent. I say that because even like all categories of my life, even outside the game, that's just one thing that I've been working on just in my life, like off the field, just as a family member, as in my love life and everything. I've just been trying to focus on being consistent. I feel like that was the last step to take me where I wanted to go in my life. So to emphasize that within myself, and then hear my coaches who push me the hardest, acknowledge that within my process and see that, it makes me proud of myself. So
It's the personal work that goes into being consistent.
it's dedication, man. It's hard work. Like it's just sticking to the process. Getting out of your feelings. Because your feelings is probably what'll take you away from being consistent. Specifically as far as this game. And one thing I like to tell people is like having access is a great thing, but it can also be a distraction. Sometimes when you have all that access, it can get in the way of your consistency. And, I've realized that over the last few years of my life, and that's just something that I wanted to focus on to be able to take Damar Hamlin as a person to the next level, not even just the athlete, but just hearing my coach mention that, I for surely appreciate it, and it lets me know that I'm right where I need to be, and it made me want to keep going.
Curious that you said you've been with Bobby for so long now, so you know what he expects from you.
Yeah.
Does that help you become a better player coming in here, knowing exactly what he expects from you and what he wants from you?
Yeah, I think that's everything. I think that's how you get freedom as a player. When you know your expectations, your only job is to meet them and to consistently meet them. And we talked about that in the spring, man. If you don't know what's expected of you, how can you perform at the highest level? Expectations are always clear here, and Bobby Babich holds that standard day in, day out with everything from top to bottom. So, the expectation is clear. We talk about it day in, day out. So, it's just about preparing the mindset to be able to meet that expectation and, within yourself, try to, go above and beyond it.
What are you trying to prove this training camp? And preseason even?
Nothing, to be honest. And, I say that very humbly. in a way of just like, man, I got a different perspective than everybody else on life. And you know, I'm here to work. I'm here to get better every day, and you know, I have freedom in that. And like I said, man, I just want to be the best me on and off the field. And I use the game of football to make me the best person on and off the field because, you know, my approach to the game, I want to be the best. I want excellence out of this game, and you got to do the things that breed those results. So you know, just using, you know, I'm pretty much just using the game to make me the best person so that I can operate at the highest level within myself in every category. You know, no matter what it is, no matter if it's football, no matter if it's business, no matter if it's friendships. You know, being a son to my parents, like I said, you know, my love life. You know, I'm just trying to be the best version of me in every category, and you know, still having a game in my life truly allows me to, you know, accomplish that. So, you know, I don't have any expectations. I don't have a stat line for nobody. You know, I really look at this as bonus, and you know, I'm super glad to be here. I'm proud to be here, and don't get it twisted. Like, you know, I want to be the best. Like that's always been the standard, but that's just who I am. As soon as I put these pads and this helmet on, it's like that's the flip that I switch. So you know, I don't have no expectations. My only expectation for myself is truly just be the best me that I can be, and allow the game of football to make me the best person I can be.
What stands out to you about Jordan Hancock?
Everything. First and foremost, his personality is hilarious. I love him already. But you know, he's a playmaker, and he fits right in with our group. Like, he truly reminds me of guys we have in the room, like Taron Johnson, like Cam Lewis, like our staff, our front office. Like, we truly know how to pick them. We truly know how to handpick guys who fit within the culture of what's been built here, and I think Jordan Hancock fits right in.
You mentioned this time last year. We talked about how you're moving into that role more and more of being a leader on this team, mentoring younger guys. Maybe Jordan as an example, just what's it like having that communication with the younger guys in the room when, you know, you've been in the system for so long?
It's unique. Honestly, it's unique. Just, you know, growing from being that young guy to now transitioning to, you know, being the vet who's passing the knowledge down. You know, I've always been the one being the sponge and, you know, soaking up all the game that I could from the older guys. You know, shout out Micah, shout out Jordan, shout out Jaquan Johnson, shout out Dean Marlowe, shout out JT. Man, all those guys truly like poured everything into me as a young guy here. You know, they didn't look at me like competition or a guy who was just trying to take their spot. You know, they treated me like family day in, day out. And, you know, that's the culture here. And, you know, as much competition that the game breeds and that camp breeds and, you know, roster cut downs breed, you know, we really have a family atmosphere where we want everyone to thrive. And, you know, wherever the chips fall in the end, we let them fall there. But, you know, we make it a family unit. And I think that's why we have a lot of success.
A lot of good playing experience last year. You got a lot of plays. You were in a lot of defenses. As you look back at that now, where are you trying to get better this year when you look back at what you were able to accomplish last year?
Just trying to grow on my game as a whole. You know, like last year, I feel like I was trying to prove a lot. You know, just you know, dealing with the sudden cardiac arrest on the field and having the world see me as, you know, that moment. You know, I felt like I was chasing plays a lot to where like I felt like I had to, you know, make plays so that people can, you know, see me as the athlete of what I can truly do on the field. You know, which, you know, kind of like had me antsy in my game a lot, in a lot of places because I was kind of chasing plays. So, you know, just coming back around this year, you know, I truly feel like, you know, I accomplished that, what I wanted to accomplish. So coming around this year, you know, I really have peace. You know, I don't feel any outside world expectations. I'm not worried about trying to get anybody's labels off of me or anything like that. I'm just truly locked into, you know, allowing the game to come to me. I'm focusing on my technique, my fundamentals, focusing on my keys, and slowing the game down, you know, and just letting the plays come to me off of just executing my job within the defense each and every play. And, you know, just trying to work on my game as a whole, like, you know, just technique-wise, things like that. So I feel like that's the biggest difference from last year to this year. Last year I was chasing because, you know, I wanted to prove myself to my team that, you know, I can be one of the starters on, this Buffalo Bills defense again. And I can be the guy to lead us to where we need to go. And I truly do feel like I proved myself. So this year just coming in, I have peace within myself. I have peace within, my coaches know what I can do. They know who I am as a player, and I'll be me whenever it's time to be me.
When did that piece start? Was it off season? Was it mini camp? Or like kind of when in end of the season? Like where did you start to find that piece?
Just like journey within myself a little bit. Finishing up the season, just kind of recapping and just seeing everything, just looking back, obviously, our goal was to finish number one, but when you look at everything you accomplished along the way, that's where that peace journey kind of started for myself, and then just also just chasing peace within my personal life, just slowing things down, getting in the word a little bit more, getting into my readings, meditating, doing my yoga, things like that. That's where the peace started for me. I've always been on like a journey searching for peace within my life and within myself. So it's a ever going journey, but that I've always been on. But things truly started to click like top of the year going into off season.
We're gonna hear from CB next. What's it like just seeing him with another year in the system, taking on maybe a bigger leadership role as well?
And CB has always been who he is. Like even behind the scenes, when the attention wasn't always coming his way, he's always been a God-fearing man, God first. Like we have sat next to each other every year in meetings, like just off of a natural connection. He's more of a quiet soul, just like I am. But our intentions align, like our spiritual connection aligns, and we don't even have to say much to each other, but we understand each other a lot. But just seeing CB grow as a player, like he's a hard worker, like he does it the right way, he does everything the right way, he don't cut no corners, and he put the work in first. And just hearing him step up more into a leadership role and become more vocal and just spread his message of his approach to the game and of his process, I think it's what we need right now. I think it's truly what we need. So I'm definitely glad to see CB continue to grow as a leader.
Terrence said that CB was the one bringing the swag on the defense. Clearly, he's always had confidence, but you see almost that confidence expressing itself more on the field, even this training camp, maybe more so than in the past.
Yeah, he bringing that swag because he making plays. You know what I'm saying? CB's making plays. It's hard to catch a pass on him. You know what I'm saying? And like you could see the work that he's put in over the offseason through and throughout, and it's just showing. And I'm just CB's always been consistent. He's always done things the right way. He's always took the extra step to prepare himself for whatever moment is coming. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why people see the results that they get, because CB puts the work in. Like, there's no one more consistent than CB. There's no one more, like, dedicated to the craft than CB, And I honestly think, like, it's great to have T. White back, but, I think a lot of it, I think CB was able to build who he is as a pro off of T. White. You know what I'm saying? Just being able to watch who T. White was and still is, you know what I'm saying? But I'm speaking of, early on in his career, like T. White was the vet who was doing things the right way, who was putting in the extra work, who, accomplished everything that he wanted to accomplish. And, I think CB really stuck to his hip and developed his own process off of T. White. So to be able to have T. White back and to be able to have a developed older CB, like just being here, going on my fifth year, it's amazing to see how, players can evolve, the game can evolve, and just how our unit and how we do things here continue to evolve and have success. So it's exciting.
In that sense, Damar, what is it like? To have, what's it like to have? What's it like to have Trey back and just the renewed energy that he's showing? And he looks like his old self.
He does. He really does. Man, I'm super glad to have him back. Like, I did not like seeing him in other uniforms last season. Like, it was irritating me, low key. But to have him back is everything. Like, T. White is like y'all won't really get T. White's full personality in front of these cameras. It's truly like when we in the meeting room, when we on the practice field and things like that, and just the veteran leadership that he brings, the advice that he has on life, who he is as a man, like as in his family, like, you know, like I'm able to get so much advice from T. White. You know, he does things as the right way, as a man. You know, with his kids, with his lady, and you know, he's just an all time leader. You know what I'm saying? And we was out there today. It was a dog day. It was a grind out there today. Tell y'all that. But like T. White just telling me like let's go D Ham. I'm out here with you. Like just hearing that from him was like I ain't got nothing to complain about. You know what I'm saying? Like it's time to lock in. Let's get it done. But just like the unit, like I want to do my job for T. White. I wanna make plays for T. White. You know, and he just has that effect on everyone out there to where we know what he's gonna do, and we want to do our part for him so that we all can have success. Yeah, you noticed it. Yeah, it is. So you know, I kind of rebranded. You know, I've had a lot of things kind of pulling me over the last few years, and you know, kind of diving into like my clothing brand was always my piece away from the world. And you know, I truly feel like I'm getting back to myself of who I've always been and like things that I love. So, you know, just being able to rebrand, you know, my clothing brand, and you know, continue to grow. You know, it just truly allows me to feel like realign with myself after just experiencing, you know, so much chaos and adversity and, you know, so many great things as well. But, you know, it's just like my way of knowing that I'm back aligned with myself and, you know, truly chasing passions that I've always had. So I appreciate that.
Nice and smooth.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.